Delaware County Commissioners meeting, Monday, September the 16th, 2019, 9 a.m. Let's please stand for the pledge.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Craycraft, roll call, please.
King. Here. Mr. Henry. I'm here. Ms. Reagan.
Present.
Brooke. Here.
Okay, what's your pleasure on the table of your business?
I haven't completed everything yet, so I apologize for that. I will have a report at the next meeting. I can get it done by then.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of stuff to read.
Leave it on the table, just leave it on the table until John's ready.
Sounds good. Approval minutes, please.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King. Yes. Ms. Reagan.
Yes. Thank you. Contracts and agreements. This is Anderson's here, I believe.
Morning, Emily Anderson, Court Administrator. I am going to let Jane explain the opioid grant. She's been working with Judge Fike and Judge Dowling on that, so I'll let her explain that and then I'll talk about the other two.
Good morning, Jane Miranda, Community Corrections. We are in the process of applying for a state opioid grant, which is federal funds. And at the moment, the judges are meeting today to finalize the second half of the grant. The first half of the grant, it is a $60,000 grant this year and then a $60,000 grant next year. This year, we will use part of that funding for a peer recovery specialist at Community Corrections to be used with the jail release population as well as probation in the courts. The second half of that grant will either be used to reserve 5 treatment beds at Voices of America in Winchester, and half of that grant would pay for a peer recovery specialist with them. If the judges do not approve that, the second half of that grant would then go towards helping fund a correctional officer in the jail that would be responsible for monitoring the classrooms during programming, the AA meetings, the NA meetings, so we would help fund a new officer for the jail.
Very good.
And I do not have it in writing because it's not finalized and you apply online. So there is not a hard copy at this time.
Very good. So all the paperwork needs to be filled out, John.
I haven't really seen much of it, but I presume that is. Jane does a good job, so.
I mean,
And this is a proposed grant, so.
yeah, the one that we recently stated.
Will you need a separate fund for this?
Yeah, and so this was just us coming to you as part of the new procedure. But for you, we can't have you sign it because it's all online, so we need your blessing to have her fill it out and complete it online since we can't have you actually physically sign the copy.
That sounds good.
I'll make a motion that we have Jane proceed. I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. King. Yes. Mr. Henry. Yes. Ms. Reagan.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
And Jane, once the grant is approved, if you get the information to me, we can draft an ordinance to create the fund to put the money into, okay?
Okay, no problem, thank you.
Thank you.
So the next one is the Juvenile Court Family Recovery Court grant. This is a new one, which is also an ordinance on the agenda. This has been an unusual grant. So they sent the award letter without telling us that we even got it. We couldn't get any other information from them. It was all done online, and there's no federal money. It's all state money. So I think I gave that to you in an email. I gave you all copies of that. And this is for Juvenile Family Recovery Court. This is for training, equipment, and supplies out there. They've got their Family Recovery Court running now. How many participants? 3 participants. This is for the parents that are trying to get families reunited. So this one is, the money's already there, and again, we didn't know it was coming until we already got the letter. We got the letter after the money got here. So I just need your approval. I mean, it's kind of like backtracking now at this point, but it kind of happened unusually.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
And also, they also know that you have to start signing these and that the courts can't do that anymore, so you'll get these ahead of time from now on, okay? The next one is Juvenile Court, Family Recovery Court, Court Reform Grant, and this is where it gets confusing. We already have a fund set up for this. They are, it's a fund that we set up to subsidize a payroll for our coordinator. So she gets half paid out of county general and then half out of this grant. So this is just another, we just apply for the same amount of money for next year to cover her next year's salary. It is federal money, but it's the exact same federal number. I did ask Donna what we needed, and she said if it's the same federal number, that we don't have to set up a new fund.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for finding the monies to help improve the families. Next, we'll have Jason Rogers with the volunteer letter.
Commissioners, good morning, Jason Rogers, Emergency Management Director. We have not had any contact with the Muncie Fire Department since our initial meeting. We are anticipating changes that are going to need to be made, and I think at this time there's certainly potentials for reduction in force or reduction in stations. And I think that we need to probably act positively so we can be the most flexible for our staff and our response areas and those types of things. So it is my recommendation that we bring one of our stations, we basically will vacate the Hamilton Township station on North Wheeling and bring that truck back into Muncie. To our #1 station where we have the ability to respond to that area as well. But I think that we're at a point now where we need to start looking real hard at what our responses are going to be and also where they're going to be from. So it will save us a little money because we do pay into the utilities and so forth out there. So for the time being, I think that it would better serve the department and allow us to be more flexible than we are, at least at this current moment. And I know after there was some discussion of this, Hamilton Township Fire Department had posted on their social media page that they were exploring running an ambulance as well. So, you know, if that's their prerogative, then we certainly can cover areas that need to be covered on our, I guess, response assignments. So
There are gonna be some changes coming up that we're gonna have to.
I think no matter what happens, there's gonna be changes.
Oh, absolutely.
So whether or not we are in the city of Muncie or we're not in the city of Muncie, I think that we need to maintain flexibility and, you know, those types of things. I mean, we're essentially, we're moving that truck 4 miles to the south. Or it's 4.5 miles to the south. So it's not a major change, but certainly with the aspect of Gaston is trying to get their truck back in service more, and that was the really the premise of getting our truck up that far is because Gaston was out of service all the time, and we responded to their community I think 290 sometimes last year, 260 sometimes. So I've been reached by their new EMS coordinator, and they're trying to move in a positive direction to keep that Gaston truck in service. So that will certainly help the response capabilities in the northeast northwest section of the county. So I think, you know, we just need to be flexible, and we need to be able to adjust our response models and be, you know, I guess fiscally responsible as well. So with what we're trying to maintain and continue to do.
You had one other communication with Muncie Fire's EMS chief. Have you heard anything other than that?
No. I had received a very informal email asking, or basically kind of stating that they wanted us to cover certain areas and you know, what they wanted us to charge them. However, when we had left our first meeting, I made it very clear that we wanted an interlocal agreement to review. I didn't want to do it via text message or in informal negotiations around anybody. So that's why I asked for the interlocal agreement. We've not received that. I can tell you that they offered us $150 to do ALS intercepts. They're also adding, I guess, an advanced EMT truck is what she's talking about, but I don't want to speculate what they will do or may not do. And that's why I've asked for it in an interlocal agreement, because that way we can be assured that this is what they're offering, this is what we're offering, and everybody's in agreement that way. But to this point, I've not received anything official, not received anything in the terms of what we had discussed, where I had asked, tell us what you want from us, and we'll talk about, you know, the possibilities of us being able to provide that. So at this point, I don't know what to expect. So I think we need to remain flexible in our abilities.
I make a motion that we approve the move and also sending this letter.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Jason, can you send me that map, what they sent you, where they?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
I just emailed it to you.
Because on the map, it's awful funny, the area that the mayor lives in and where the mayor works. He wants Delaware County EMS to cover that area. That should tell you something there.
No comment. I do live about that way too. Mrs. Marshall, you're the.
Good morning, Melanie Marshall, Delaware County Recorder. I presented a contract to John Brook for his approval, and I'm assuming since I'm on the agenda today, it passed. It is with Fiddler Technologies. That is the software company that provides all the software that we use for recording documents. This is for them to have a complete backup host of all of our documents. And if something would happen and we would lose our operation right here, as long as we could get internet within 4 hours, we could be up and running with all of our documents available.
Yes, John looked at it.
I did look at it, and Melanie assures me that the funds would come out of her perpetuation fund.
Yep.
The terms seem to be acceptable.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ordinance, first reading, ordinance 2019-22, Delaware County Commissioner ordinance for juvenile court and family recovery court grant.
I'll make a motion we introduce ordinance 2019-022.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
Since they already have the money, you should go ahead and suspend the rules to approve this ordinance.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-022.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, resolution for approval, 2019-29, resolution approving the designation of Delaware County as a vote center county. Mr. Spangler.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rick Spangler, County Clerk. This is just the next step in the progression toward Delaware County becoming a vote center county. We had to get approval from the county council, which we've received. We need your approval, and then we can continue to finish our plan, get it approved by the state, and then take it to the election board.
That was a very nice article in the paper.
Yeah, we're moving forward. It's good progress.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes,
Thanks, sir.
thank you. Resolution 2019-31, resolution approving the sale of county-owned properties pursuant to IC 361111.
This is a resolution for the sale of the remaining deed properties that were not sold at the 2 deed sales. The county was approached by a entrepreneur that wanted to purchase the remaining properties for whatever reason in mass for an amount less than was offered at either of the sales. Under the statute, you adopt this resolution, this gets published, and others can come in on or before 9:00 a.m. on October 7th to make a bid for these same properties. So this just starts the process. Then once the bids come in, then you can start selling those properties.
But they want, this firm wanted to do it as a lump sum.
They wanted to do it a lump sum for all the remaining properties.
So October the 7th is the deadline.
That's the deadline for someone, they gave a bid, that bid is to be published. People can come in and try and beat that bid if they want, for the same lump of properties.
For all the properties.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2019-031.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2019-32, resolution to cancel agreement with local 1348 International Association of Firefighters, AFO-CIO. Mr. Rogers.
This is a resolution, the collective bargaining agreement with the EMS employees expires on December 31st, 2019. There's a provision in Article 40 that says that the commissioners have to give at least 90 days notice to the union of their intention to terminate the agreement. It's my understanding with Mr. Rogers that there are no, that the EMS employees have all left Local 1348. There are no local employees with 1348. Doesn't make much sense to have a collective bargaining agreement that will continue from year to year if there's nobody in the union that would support it or would be covered by it. So this would be the process. What you would do is you would adopt this ordinance. There'll be a letter for the commissioners to sign to send to the president of the local union of your intent to terminate the agreement, and then on December 31st, the agreement would be terminated.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2019.
Second.
032.
Roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes. Thank you. Time for the department heads, elected officials. Anybody has something? Mr. Jones?
Good morning, Commissioners. Nate Jones, Delaware County Veterans Affairs. Just want to brief you guys again on our Delaware County stand down that is coming up. It's this Friday. It starts at 9:30 a.m. I would appreciate it if all of you could show up to be a part of that, but if not, at least one of you to come and read our proclamation for us. I want to go over just some of the services that we're going to be providing. I'm going to let Ralph kind of touch on some of that here quickly.
This is the second year that the Delaware County Veterans Affairs Office has coordinated this event. Before it was at the Muncie Mission. We took it over last year, moved it to the Delaware County Fairgrounds Heartland Building, and it went from a citywide event to a countywide event. Huge change. We are told by some of even the World War II veterans that we work with that last year's was the largest veteran event that they had ever seen held in Delaware County. So with that said, 9:30 is the opening ceremonies, as Nate mentioned. Please be there prior to that. We'll have reveille at 929. That calls everybody together. So far this year, we have 85 vendors, which is, last year we had 73, I think it was. So from now until Friday, I'm sure we'll pick up a few more. We offer government services, VA services, education services, and employers will be there. I contacted personally, and my wife Christy, who is really the heartbeat behind this event and putting it all together. If an employer is not able to hire that day, Friday, they weren't asked to participate. So these are not just an employer who's going to be taking applications. If they're not willing to hire or ready to hire that day, they won't be present. So all of the employers will be hiring that day. We couldn't do this without the volunteers. We have about 50 volunteers, and I'm just going to read a few of them. The Ball State ROTC unit will be there. The Muncie Central Marine Corps JROTC will be there. Ivy Tech College Social Services Program students will be there, and criminal justice students will be there. The Muncie Police Department and the Delaware County Sheriff's Department always participate and provide security, but not just security. They also work with the criminal justice system or program at Ivy Tech. So we're happy that they come along. PJ's Beauty School will be giving haircuts that day. Then we'll have the United States Army Recruiting Services. And we certainly couldn't do this without the sponsors of this program. In goods and services and financial contributions, we're up around $8,000 to put this event on. That includes your donation of the Heartland building and all the tables and the communications out there, so we appreciate that. But I'm just gonna name a few of those. Amazing Joe's, the American Legions from Daleville, Yorktown, and Selma, the Barking Cow from Gaston, Dandy's Concession from over here on Memorial Drive, right across the street from Maxwell's Barbershop, and of course the Delaware County Commissioners, Frege RSC Engineering Solutions, the Indiana Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Chapter 14-1, Midas Muffler here in Anderson, the Muncie Eagles Lodge, 231, the Paul Revere Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and the Colonial Dames, Wolf Boom Radio, and attorney Zaki Ali, who always supports our veterans. So
I do want to touch on that. There are going to be some claims that are going to be coming through this week to help provide some of those services to these veterans. It's going to come out of our donation account. Those are going to be larger than normal claims that we would normally make to help out veterans. But these claims were specifically asked by those donors to help provide monetary assistance for this program. So even though it was a donation lumped into our donation account, they asked that we utilize that to do that. Anything else you want to touch on there, Ralph?
well, let me just say what, some folks don't know what a stand down is. And let me just touch on it. Is our purpose statement. The Delaware County Stand Down and Resource Fair is a community-based event coordinated by the Delaware County Veterans Affairs Office, designed to help veterans with homelessness, education, and employment. Veterans are brought together at a single location for one day and are provided access to Veterans Affairs, government, and community resources, all designed to not just give a hand out, but give a hand up to veterans and help them improve their quality of life. That's what this is all about.
So I just want to touch on a couple things that happened last week that I think it's important that you guys know some things that we've done that I think has been a success. So last week, in the morning of, was it Wednesday morning, Thursday morning? Wednesday morning. We got contacted that there were a couple veterans that were homeless here in Delaware County, one of which was staying under a bridge for the last 10 days. Fortunately, we were able that day to get both veterans, the one that was underneath the bridge and the other one that had just been couch hopping, placed in a facility that not only helps with homelessness, but also helps with addiction issues, helps with any type of other criminal and or social issues that they may be having. We were able to get that done that day, which is typically unheard of. It typically takes 24 to 48 hours to get them just in the mission, let alone get them their own housing. So to be able to get that done last week was a great accomplishment between us and our guys. And I want to thank Brian and a couple of the other guys that helped out with that process. The other thing that I want to talk about is that we are going to be changing some of our hours in the way that we operate. And the reason that I want to talk about that is because I think it's important for the community to know, and I also think it's important for you all to know that, you know, we handle a mass load of people every single day that we are in this office. And if you guys know anything about what our main job for the VA office is to do claims. And that involves a lot of paperwork. It involves a lot of detail-oriented medical documents. And in essence, we are building a case against the VA to either compensate, give medical care, whatever the case, social work, whatever the case may be for these veterans. These claims typically take anywhere between an hour, hour and a half's worth of time, and that's just for the first appointment. Never mind the next 3 or 4 times that they come back in order to receive those services so that we can give them an opportunity to fulfill that whole entire claim. I mean, it just don't stop with filling out paperwork and sending that in. And so we also are receiving a lot of veterans from out of county. I can tell you right now that we receive veterans from Jay County, Randolph County, Hamilton County, Blackford County, Madison County, and Henry County. And we've received all those just in the last month. So I don't know, obviously we're marketing this well, obviously the word has gotten out. I think what we're trying to do is keep some sort of organization to the process, because if you end up going through this process and start trying to wing it and doing it the wrong way, you're gonna end up messing up the veteran in their claims and what benefits they've really earned. So if we don't do it right and we don't give it the proper amount of time to get that done, we're really failing that veteran. Now, obviously, anything above and beyond that that's simple, let's say a tax form, let's say they just need something mailed off or faxed in quickly, we'll do that day. They can walk in and do that. But the reason that we set that up is because we had an influx of veterans coming in and people getting upset that we could not service them with a claim that day. So our problem is that we want to help them, but we have to do this in an organized fashion. We can't just have everybody going every which way to try to get this done. And so I think we owe it to them from our office to do this right. With that being said, what we are going to do with your approval is Monday through Thursday, we're going to allow for 2 appointments in the morning, 2 appointments in the afternoon for claims only. Everything else can walk in and get done. And on Fridays is going to be an open walk-in day for claims and everything else, just so that that veteran that maybe is really wanting to get that done this week, if they show up Friday morning first thing, they'll get their claim done without having to make an appointment. We currently right now are scheduled out almost 9 weeks. So for the next 9 weeks, we have appointments set every single day. And as of right now, that's 8 a day, not 4 a day. But my guys just cannot handle that workload, period. And so with your approval, I would like to make sure that we do this properly.
Nate, we're also going to look at possibility of setting up a self-serve computer, maybe?
Yes, so I'm actually currently got 3 of my work studies getting accredited to be able to, actually they would be allowed to do the claim for them, but I really want to talk to John about the legalities of that and making sure that I'm doing the proper steps to make sure that's done properly. But right now, what it will allow them to do is to come to a computer, sit down and start the process, do an intent to file, upload some of that medical documentation that they need in order to start this process, but hopefully have one of our Veterans Affairs guys sitting there with them, not doing the claim for them, but coaching them through that process, just to make it a little bit more simple, a little bit more at ease. And I'll tell you, it's a difficult process, and I challenge anyone to come down to our office, give me an hour or 2 of your time, and I'll bet you that you'll be surprised at what we do in our office.
You're very busy down there. I see it every time I'm down there. And if you guys remember, back when the office was next door, Nate was by himself, Jenny was helping, and we had veterans waiting out in the hallway. And you're right, those are the guys that were upset because you guys were just trying to get everybody in that you could, and it was impossible.
Right. So, and just to kind of touch on it, now it's busy. We only have 2 private rooms, one of which we try to operate the employment, education, and really office management out of. The other one is a private room to be able to do their claims. We deal with a lot of HIPAA issues. We deal with sexual assaults. We deal with PTSD, drug addiction. We deal with Just simple, somebody got blown up with an IED in Afghanistan, and we need to get them service connected for TBI. Well, there's a lot of steps and processes to get them to that point. Maybe one day soon, I'd love to come up and tell my story and let you guys understand how my claim process worked. It took 5 years for me to get service connected after getting hit with an IED in Afghanistan. So that should only tell you and explain to you how hard this really can be for these veterans to get through this process. So that's why we want to do the self-service, to try to make that a more timely event, and hopefully get them started in the right direction.
I can appreciate what you're saying because you are very busy and you've brought this up greatly, and we all appreciate that. But I do see a problem with the people that are just walking in off the street. They had a hard time maybe finding a place to park. They maybe drove in from Jay County. And I just have a problem with them walking up here and finding new clothes. And so we have to work on that, but I don't know what the answer is, but I think we need to be there.
Jim, could you put that on our website? And have that, you guys have like a Facebook and any social media or anything like that through Veterans Affairs?
I'll be honest with you, I touch more people through my own personal Facebook, and so I try to promote it that way, but if you would like us to develop one and are willing to support that, I will.
I was just thinking something like that, people could go on there, they could see your hours and everything.
And I will, I'll actually put one of my guys in charge of making sure that's up and going here soon.
I think the answer is hire 1 or 2 more people.
Well, the space though, I mean, it's like
I
bodies
agree 100%.
everywhere. And
Well,
But if you want to take walk-ins every day, they don't have the staff to do
well,
that.
I mean, that's
You know, I
what
was
I'm
up there, I
saying.
was up there Thursday when these guys had went out dealing with these homeless vets. And these poor homeless vets were sitting in there eating muffins out
We
of
were
some,
feeding them that day.
some great big box you guys had stashed away in your office.
Correct.
And it just, you guys do a tremendous amount of outreach that people don't understand that. And that we have problems up here because Nate and when you just had 1 or 2 people in there, you would be going out and people was upset because you was closed or you wasn't working. Well, yeah, you was working, you was out doing outreach. People don't understand that.
Well, the other side of this is, look, we have thousands of veterans right now that are in nursing homes, that are in assisted living facilities, that have never, ever in their life, ever received any services or benefit from the federal VA. That's a sorry excuse, I'm sorry. So my job is to go out and find those guys and to make sure they get what they earn, period.
Right.
And outside of that, I also want to bring up another thing. We don't only just work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. I can tell you that Ralph and I, last 2 weeks ago, went out in the evening. There was a gentleman that just had his leg amputated due to Agent Orange. He ended up getting neuropathy, a bunch of sores. They had to cut his leg off. What do? We go find a ramp. We have it delivered. We find a wheelchair. We have it delivered. Why? Because it'll take 1.5 years for him to get it through the federal VA. It takes him days to get it through us. So our job is to try to accommodate, overcome, and adapt to some of these issues, which is what we're best at, to be honest. And I just think it's very important that everybody in the community understand what we do every single day of our life, not only on Monday through Friday, but in the evenings, on the weekends, when I get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe a suicidal veteran, maybe an overdose, something has happened, and I get my butt up out of bed, or I get my butt up out of my couch on the weekend, and I go and help them.
Please understand that those hours we provided you are in-office hours. Nate or I are on duty 24/7, 365. One of us is on call. One of us is on standby for suicide watch, so, or drug overdose. So please don't be mistaken and think that those are the only hours that we
Well,
work.
I'm just saying the public walking in. But John, we do have a problem here too, that, for, they're, being covered by, comp time, and we need to have that documented better. So we don't,
And to be honest, we don't document that because we don't care. We don't want paid for those hours. We do it because we love to help
we
veterans.
just need to be accountable.
Right, I understand, but understand that we try not
I
to
know
push
you guys
that.
volunteer a lot of your time to go out, fix roads for them. If a veteran has to move, has nobody, you guys move them. And you guys volunteer your time to do that. You've never asked for any.
We don't want time, we don't want money.
You've
We
never
just
asked for anything, and
want support.
Well, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
You got my support.
Thank you.
Got my support, we just won't be accountable. And cover everybody, you know, if
Yes,
you get
ma'am.
hurt, you know.
No, I agree. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Thanks for the great news.
No, we don't have to do any kind of motion or anything like that.
No, I'm just saying, we just need to be.
And then the one last question I'll ask, I guess, is, John, if I could get like just an hour of your time to go over some things.
Sure.
Just to make sure my office is operating in the right manner.
Absolutely. I'll get with you to, figure out some time on my schedule. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for, great. Oh, and Ralph, it starts at 9:30, but what time is your close down?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, so be there early. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Mr. Regan, I would like to give a little bit of information on the deed sale, and then Treasurer
Sure.
Carroll will also give some follow-up on that. As the commissioners are aware, we've had 2 county deed sales. I wanted to thank the county commissioners, Janet Kessler, who has since retired out of our office, Heather and Josh, Charlie Richmond, Treasurer Carroll, County Recorder Marshall and her staff, the county fairgrounds. This has been a win-win for the county and for the taxpayers. And so Treasurer Carroll will go over a little bit of the numbers and what we've sold and taken in and what we've got back on the tax rolls.
Thanks, Steve. Hey, Carol, Treasurer. You know, when we went into this, we were concerned about our cost and what it was gonna cost to do all the work up front on these properties. We had well over 500 properties going into this. I'm glad to say that since we went through this process, it now looks like we're going to come out in the black on this, because we're gonna collect over $500,000 on tax sales. And with this resolution that's passed today, it looks like almost all the properties will actually go back on the tax roll now. And I don't know if that's ever been done in this county, but we're gonna go to this tax sale and not have any properties rolled over from previous sales. So that's a kudos to everyone that's involved in this whole project. In the redemption, we actually redeemed $47,000 of sales before the sale actually even started. So when we sent the notices, people came in and paid their property taxes before the 2 deed sales took place. So in the grand total, with all of the deed sales that we had 2 of them, and the redemptions, we have over $525,000 collected that's from these sales. And so I want to thank the commissioners for allowing us to pursue this, and it really helps the bottom line to the county.
Well, we thank you all, like Steve said, your leadership, both of you, and your great staff. And let's give them a round of applause. It was the first time for us, and little did we know, but thanks so much.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Reagan, we actually, right now, we put 303 properties back on the tax rolls. So I think that's really good that's good for the county, and it's good for the taxpayers. Everybody's picking up their share.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I sent to the commissioners a letter that the judges had requested about a Circuit Court 6, the possibility of that. I drafted the letter. I think you all reviewed the letter. I just need your approval so that I've sent it to Jenny. Jenny can get the letter over to Judge Dow.
Make a motion to approve the letter.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Just one second. Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Ms. Reagan?
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, payment of claims of $1,097,188.09.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Reagan?
Yes. Now it's ready for the public to come forward. Anybody like to speak? If not, entertain a motion for
So moved.
recess.
Second.
Roll call, please.
King?
Yes.